The Doctor. In the TARDIS. Next stop everywhere.
Welcome back to Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast, and that was our special reverb mix.
Hey, well, I used the files you gave me, bud.
I know.
I like it.
All right, everybody. I'm a happy guy because not only do I get to talk about the Series 11 finale of Doctor Who this week, we've got a full TARDIS crew once again, everybody.
Yay!
Yay! And there was much rejoicing.
There was. I am Jesse Jackson, and I am a Whovian.
Yes.
Just a little inside joke because this is a Whovian support group.
That's right. It sure is.
Whovian support group. All right.
What would it be?
Yes.
DW? Instead of AA,
yes.
DW.
Yes, exactly.
So, and obviously, if you've heard the lovely dulcet tones of Karen Lindsay back from the vortex
That's right.
of time and
sorry
space.
I got lost out there, but you know.
She's lost, but we finally found her, and we've got her back. So, if nothing else, we got a full TARDIS crew for the Series 11 finale to talk about. I'm excited. I hope everybody else there is excited because obviously a lot of us have missed you, Karen.
Oh, thank you.
Especially Jesse and me because
Absolutely.
You've been such a great addition to this podcast, and it feels incomplete now without you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm glad to be back, and hopefully back for realsies.
Yes. All right. So, obviously, we're going to talk about the Battle of Ravskoor av Kolos, and Lord Almighty, that's a mouthful.
Pardon you.
Yes.
I know. They just keep killing me when we're saving as the title.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a title that Jesse would be bound to mangle at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I'm not even going to say it.
Jesse is Texas challenged.
I give up.
And I can just wait. Charles will send a very polite email. Hey, Jesse, you named the title incorrectly in the file that's uploading to Rob.
That's all right. That's right. So, the Battle of Ravskoor av Kolos.
Come on. You can't spell that? Come on.
Exactly. I'm just showing off, actually.
Ranskoor av Kolos, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
My best friend.
There wasn't even much of a battle in this episode,
nope.
So I'm not sure where that title came from, apart from just the obvious planet Ravskoor av Kolos. Written, of course, by showrunner Chris Chibnall, directed by Jamie Childs once again, who's directed probably the bigger episodes of this season so far. He directed, of course, The Woman Who Fell to Earth, the Series 11 opener, and Demons of the Punjab, which was obviously the last episode we were all together at a month ago. And then It Takes You Away, which just aired last week. So
very cinematic director.
Yes, he does. He definitely brings that, you're right, that cinematic flair.
And even though this was a bottle episode, because, they were all the whole time on this ship, there was still a sense of bigness to it, I thought.
I agree.
Probably because of just the scope of the Uks and their power.
Ooks.
In this the Ooks.
She kept saying Ooks.
Yeah, well, maybe it's
Uks.
Yeah. It probably just depends on how much you want to put that little British affect.
That's right.
The Oaks. So this is the 10th and final episode of Series 11, aired just yesterday, December 9th, 2018. And I'm looking forward to talking about this because obviously not just the finale, but it also kind of leads us, I think, a little bit into the 2019 New Year's Day special.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how that goes. So everybody, before I do the guest cast for this episode, how about what's everybody's quick thoughts about this episode? Karen's attention is kind of distracted at the moment, so I'm going to go with Jesse first.
Okay. I really liked it. I was, before the naysayers that have not been fans of the season, though, if you look at the facts, in every way, this season has been a success. Mm-hmm. In every way you can measure it, in tangible ways, in success, in viewership, and retaining viewership, and all this stuff. They had talked about that.
It's like, I don't mean to interrupt, but it's like 20% higher on BBC America than the last season.
Yep.
Yeah. So like Peter Capaldi's last season, the ratings have improved 20%. And so I gotta imagine BBC America's happy with that.
And someone had said, well, there's really nothing to look forward to. And I said, those are the same people that were complaining that Stephen Moffat had gotten too crazy in his timey-wimey, big, loopholes, everything going together.
Convoluted. First they were complaining that it was too convoluted. Now they're complaining that it's not convoluted enough.
Right.
Yeah. This was another straightforward, good adventure. We had a little bit of a tie-in to the very first episode. We had a kind of nice character arc for a couple of the characters. I liked it. I liked it a lot. And I thought it was the only thing I was unhappy about is that it was the 10th episode in the end. I would have loved to have 2 or 3 more episodes with this fam. I love this fam.
Yeah, me too.
So, Karen, what did you think about this episode?
That.
Yeah. Well, you noticed that Graham and Ryan still weren't on board with fam.
Nope. And
at the end of the episode. Yeah, I'm not either.
A fan of
fam. I prefer gang to fam.
Yes.
But I'm still old school. Obviously, I prefer companions.
I prefer pals, to be honest. I mean, anything except for
buds,
bros.
Bros.
So anyway, yeah, I loved this episode. Again, like Jesse just said, 2 more, please. Was pretty much my thought. This can't be it for this season. And we do have, I know we have the New Year's special, but it's never really feels like part of the season. It's always a standalone, and,
right.
I just wanted to...
And we are technically 2 episodes shorter than the Capaldi seasons, which was already 1 episode shorter than the David Tennant, Matt Smith and Eccleston seasons. Yeah, so they keep chipping away.
I feel like we need to. Well, maybe they'll give it more because of the ratings. So let's hope so. Yes. And I loved that they pulled those threads from earlier in the season with the bots and the Simshaw and all that. So I really love it when they do that. So.
Yeah, there was a lot of things brought full circle. Like we finally, obviously with Graham and Ryan, we'll talk about that here in a minute. There was a lot with those 2 that got brought full circle in this episode.
Not just between them, but between them and Simshaw.
Exactly. So, there's we find out that, and that's one of the things I want to talk about later, is obviously Graham's got a little vendetta going.
And wouldn't you?
That obviously. So that's one of the things I can't wait to talk about in this. That'll be talking about in our second segment. But first, let's talk about our guest cast. And some pretty notable actors, again, in this episode. Mm-hmm. First and foremost, we have Mark Addy, who plays Paltraki. Yep. And if you're a Game of Thrones fan, like I know a certain Mr. Jackson is, because, hey, he co-hosted a Game of Thrones podcast.
Yes.
So I'm sure he recognized Mark Addy right off the bat, right?
I will raise my hand in embarrassment. I'm like, who is that guy?
Yeah.
What is that guy? I know that guy.
He looks familiar.
And then I'm like, no.
I'm going to
And
give
then
you a pass because he's been in a million things.
Right.
He
And I'm
has.
like, wait a minute. The the Heath Ledger Night movie.
Yep.
Oh yeah. And then I'm like, yeah, who? And so I pull up IMDb and Jesse, of course, Robert. So yes, he was so good in this episode because, he plays the confusion so well. And then you just saw him become more and more confident as he got his brain more straight. So
Right.
yes,
Yeah,
wonderful
fantastic.
casting.
Yeah,
And-
and obviously you have Robert Baratheon just as Game of Thrones. That's obviously primarily where everybody probably knows him. But yeah, he was in A Knight's Tale, and he was in The Full Monty,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
a very popular
One of the
film.
main characters in the film.
And this is one of my favorite little trivia bits of his. He played Fred Flintstone in The Flintstones in Viva Rock Vegas.
Very nice.
The sequel
Nice.
to the Flintstones. So a little bit of he was the replacement Fred Flintstone to John Goodman's
And
Fred
I
Flintstone.
don't know if you saw my tweet earlier
Yeah.
about him.
No, I don't. No.
Okay. He has also done a voice of a pretty major character in the latest expansion of World of Warcraft.
No, I didn't.
Oh,
I missed that one.
nice.
He
So
does-
was he? What voice does he do there?
Dalen Proudmore, who is the father of one of our main protagonists.
Okay,
So-
so if you're a WoW aficionado like Karen is, you probably be geeking out pretty hard over here.
Yeah, Dalen
this
Proudmore is.
episode.
It's someone who's been out of the game for a long time and came back in this expansion. So it's someone that's like, oh my God, we never thought we'd see this guy in the game. And here he is. And so this guy does the voice for that. And I wrote, Worlds Colliding, Mark Addy from this week's Doctor Who has also done a voice in WoW.
Nice.
I was so
Very nice.
excited.
That's awesome. Also in this episode, we had Phyllis Logan, who played Andinio, one of the Ooks.
She was good.
And Lori and I know her because we're both fans of the British TV series Downton Abbey.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Because she plays a very notable character in that. She plays Mrs. Hughes, the kind of woman in charge of the household in Downton Abbey. And she's also going to be reprising the character for the upcoming Downton Abbey movie. So she will be returning, but that's primarily where everybody knows her from. And then she was also in like a lot of British projects, but she also did an episode of Bones here in the States.
Okay.
So if you're a Bones fan, you might have spotted her in an episode. We also get the return of Samuel Oatley as Tim Shaw, or AKA Tim Shaw.
And don't you just love how they just kept calling him Tim Shaw?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It had to
the doctor
rankle.
is. The doctor does. I think the doctor does it because she loves to wind bad guys up.
Of course.
Yeah.
But yeah. So he obviously was in the 13th Doctor's very first episode, The Woman Who Fell to Earth, where we all thought, hey, he died. Nope.
Not
because
us.
hey, it's not. Well, it's true. We didn't think he died. We thought we'd see him again, didn't
Yep,
we?
we did. All three
You're
of us.
you're absolutely right. And so surprise, because it's Doctor Who, he's back.
Hmm.
And even after this episode, I don't think we've seen the last of
Nope.
him.
I don't think
No.
so either.
So we'll talk about that here in our third segment when we talk more about Sim Shah. And yeah, so at least the 13th Doctor pretty much has her first official recurring villain
Hmm.
of her own.
Her
Which is
big
kinda
bad.
Her big bad,
Mhm.
yes. So we'll see where he goes as further into the series future. All right, first topic. Let's just dive right in. And hopefully you can guys guess the theme on this, especially you, Jesse. The old gods and the new.
Ah, very nice.
So this I want to talk about is, of course, the Doctor and the Ooks characters, Andinio and Delph. And because the Doctor obviously finds these characters very very fascinating, but also a bit scary because they have supreme power, itty bitty living space. But
okay, Aladdin.
Yeah. I could not resist the Robin Williams genie reset there. So I'm going to get your thoughts on these characters and just the Doctor facing off against Simcha and her little confrontation with Graham. So she's got a lot of balls in the air in this episode. So Karen, why don't we go with you first?
You said balls.
Yeah, balls.
Okay, so
it amused you. I know my audience.
Of course it is. Okay, can you restate what we're talking about? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
The old Doctor and the new. We're talking about the Ooks, right?
We're talking about the Ooks, and we're talking about the Doctor in this segment.
Okay, so the Doctor obviously knows this race very well.
Right.
And she recognizes their worth, their value, what they do, what their whole thing is, that the fact that there's only 2 of them at one time, and that they manage all this time and space stuff. So I loved that we were clued in by the Doctor because she would explain it to her fam. And also, I love how she does exposition. She's like, oh, you're the Ooks. And then she goes into like this, there's only 2 of you at a time. Okay, well, now we know there's only 2 of them at a time.
Exactly. So her geeking out over stuff is the device that she uses to do expository dialogue to the audience.
The informing.
Right.
Yeah. So I love that they do it that way, that it feels so natural.
Right.
To learn about this race and what her connection is to it. It's just like in, one paragraph and we know pretty much all we need to know about them and the fact that she has this connection. So I dug that. And also these 2 characters of Andinio and who is it?
Delph.
Delph.
Yes. Like Andinio is obviously the older one and Delph is the kind of protege.
Right. He's being trained, and then he'll be the
one in charge.
One later when the second one, right?
Yeah.
So I loved seeing their interactions, and especially when Delph had to kind of save the day, and it hurt him to save the day, and how pained that made Andinio, and they kind of, as soon as they knew the whole situation, they glommed on, they got it, they were on board with the Doctor's plan. It's just they needed to be convinced that what they knew wasn't really what they knew.
Yeah, because obviously their faith was coming into conflict.
Right. Because
they were believing that Tim Shaw was their creator.
Right. And we also learned that he was banished for thousands and thousands of years between the last time we saw him and now. Yeah. So, of course, they had all this time to build a mythology around him. He was living there with them and, making them do his bidding. And and
took advantage of the situation.
Right. And, of course, he's Tim Shaw. He does that thing.
So Jesse, what did you think about it? So,
yeah, I loved this... the concept of always a 2-person race that, though immediately I'm start thinking, how do they reproduce? What do you, how do you, but, well, never mind.
Maybe they don't, I mean, they're so powerful enough. They could just okay, boink, there's another one.
Right. Well, they may have like an incubation issue and,
but I loved their devotion and how the Doctor had to fight against it and how to say, really, this is not your creator. This is not worthy of you. One of the things I think Jodie is really good at as the Doctor is processing all this information out loud, like, oh man, I got too much going on, and like
she has to work it out in her head by voicing it.
Yeah, and I have a couple of people at work that talk to themselves when they're doing technical support. That you go, okay, and I'm like, I learned very quickly, okay, they're really not talking to me, they're just talking out loud. And so I like how she does that with this frantic and going, okay, I don't have enough time. What do I need to do? Oh, wait a minute. And
her brain going 90 miles a minute.
Yes. And which is very much Matt Smith, right? That he would always be speaking two or three steps everywhere else in Tenet. Yeah. So I love that idea. And so this was another good episode for the Doctor and what she was doing. So yeah, I like the aliens. I like how they ended up, kind of she righted the ship and going on. And I hope one of you, I did not write down the quote, but something when she talks about her TARDIS at the big dramatic moment. I love that, where she says, "You may have a blank, but I have a blank." So
I don't have that quote.
Dang it. Okay.
I can look it up though.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I've got a really good one that she says to Tim Shaw.
Very nice.
So
yeah, so very good. It was just great. It was a good. It had a little bit of creepiness once again.
Right.
We had aliens, so Parker should be happy, and Charles is happy, so we're good.
Yeah, the Jodie Whittaker, I thought, again, just does a stellar job. Now, one of the criticisms I'm seeing from some people is that she's not this Doctor isn't authoritative enough, which I find very ridiculous, because we've seen her stand up to Sim Shaw at least twice now. We've seen her stand up to that Krakos guy, and Rosa, and just all kinds of other characters throughout this season. The Donald Trump analog and all kinds of other characters.
Sure.
So, and she's been very authoritative and very formidable. So I personally find that criticism of her very unfair, because I think that she is a strong Doctor. She does have it. We've talked about her moral stance, and she, in this episode, once again, she's just appalled by Sim Shaw.
Mm-hmm.
Because of him actually just manipulating Andinio and Delph just for the use of their power, just so that he can fuel his little revenge plan against her.
Yeah, and Charles, Karen, sorry, I was going to try to stay off our soapbox, but it's just not going to happen.
Remember, this is the support group, right?
Yeah, I think this is one of those things that I do think is being held against her because she's a female actor. That they're trying to say that she's being weak when she isn't. She's being the Doctor. The Doctor is always looking for a compromise, right. Whether it's been Tennant, whether it's been Smith, whether it's been Capaldi. And that's one of the things
you've liked, is that you've talked about, Jesse, is that you like that the Doctor reaches out and gives the bad guy a chance.
Yes.
Before laying the smackdown down.
Yeah, one of my first jobs ever was in tech support. I had a guy named Patrick who would get complaints all the time because he was rude, because he was short. He answered the questions. I mean, he was polite, but he wasn't fluffy.
Right.
And I do not remember the female agent's name, but she had a great voice, but she was ruder than Patrick. I mean, she just was short. Yeah, here's your answer. What do you do? And she never got complaints because her being a female, the voice just automatically came in more pleasing and softer. And so I think that's what Jodie's fighting against, is she's being the way the Doctor is, looking for compromise, trying to do things straight. And then they say she's weak when no, she's the Doctor.
Right. It's just obviously femininity.
Yes.
Has a different strength than male.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Masculinity.
You think?
Just a little bit. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which obviously Karen, thankfully, is our double X chromosome.
Yeah, I have to say,
can attest to.
The
I'm sure.
whole thing about that is like, we're called a bitch if we're strong,
too aggressive, and
right, and then we're called weak if we're normal. I mean,
the double standard. Yes,
it is a never winning battle.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I have to put like exclamation points on stuff in order not to come across bitchy. In communications with people, because if I just put a period, they'll be like, oh, she must be short today, she's not happy. Well, I don't need to be happy all the time, but yeah, it's a thing,
and that has to be so frustrating.
It is. It's very frustratrating.
I can imagine.
It's like we that one line, well, if, we talked about while you were off, Karen, where it was the Witchfinders.
Mm-hmm.
Where she said, well, if I was just a bloke, I could just get on with my stuff and do my thing. Mm-hmm. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically it, right?
True. Yeah, and
absolutely.
Even worse is that I'm in a STEM field. I was a programmer for many years, and that is just another strike against you, is that you're in a room with mostly men, and you're not taken seriously. Oh, you can't know better than me, and
yeah.
So
absolutely,
it has to be. Yeah. Obviously, Jesse and I can't relate.
No,
I'm sure there are things that are frustrating to you guys too. So it's not just it's a human thing.
It is just everybody obviously has their own obstacles they have to face in their own ways.
Right.
Absolutely.
I just wish I could, that it wasn't something that I can't change. I can't stop being.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, or if anybody's, judged by, of course, like the color of their skin or their religion or what have you. And, just that kind of discrimination. Really.
And I hate to see that Jodie is running into that, because it's not fair. I think she's doing an incredible job.
I just have to hope that, enough people voice their displeasure over the treatment and stand up to it.
And,
don't tolerate it.
I was sharing with Charles yesterday when we were recording one of our other podcasts, because Charles and I can't talk to each other enough. We just love talking to each other.
He misses me so.
Yes, he does. A really nice guy was talking to me about his issues with the new Doctor. And he said he just felt like BBC was being too just inclusive, like they're just forcing inclusivity on them. And I said the joke about it looks like the cover of a community college ad, which, by the way, Community took and actually worked that and made it into Genius.
They did.
And he said yes, and I shared this with Charles. I asked them, I said, okay, well, I want you to do this. I want you just to watch a couple episodes, throw aside your preconceptions that someone is forcing them to do this, and just watch Jodie's performance and come back to me and tell me you don't think she's the Doctor. And I said, if you don't, that's fine, because, okay, you have your opinion, but I would be surprised if you didn't go, okay, because he was talking about how much he enjoyed her in Broadchurch and what a good actor she was. So,
so I think it's.
Duh.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. If you like her as an actress, then you'll like her in this.
Yeah.
So so is it safe to say that both of you think that she had a really good outing as the 13th Doctor this season?
100%.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah,
and I totally agree with you, by the way.
I mean,
you're both very satisfied.
Yeah, I don't, now that I've the glow of the newness has worn off.
Right.
I don't know if this season of episodes are as strong as I originally thought. I thought they really came out strong on the gate and then kind of went down a little bit.
I think they rebounded toward the end, though.
Yeah, I do.
So there was just that kind of mid-season lull.
But I think it was a good season, and I think she is already on the way to being someone that I would go one of my favorite modern doctors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's that good.
Yeah, she is.
There are a couple episodes this season that will make my top 10 of all time, I think.
Very cool. Oh, I'm curious. Obviously, I know one because
Rosa.
of your rating, Rosa.
Yeah.
Now, what's the other one?
I like the one in India.
Oh, the Demons of the Punjab.
Yeah,
that was
fantastic.
good. That was good too. All right. Let's. Anything else about the Doctor or the Ux before we move on?
Nope.
Okay. All right.
I have a question.
Okay.
Ken Schaefer has for you, Charles.
Uh-oh.
So
put me on the spot again.
Hi, Ken.
Yes.
Hi, Ken.
Yes. And Karen, you can answer this too.
All right.
He said her sonic screwdriver does not have a screen. Why does she keep putting it at something and then looking at it, looking like readings? There's no dials. There's no screen. What is she looking at?
Maybe she just thinks it's pretty.
Or maybe that it's giving off a certain wavelength or color. Or just something we don't know really how the Doctor's relationship to that sonic screwdriver works. No. Really, there's never been a full exploration of the mechanics of it.
No, and it's probably good that it
because all the Doctors have been kind of that way. Tennant looks at his. There's no screen on Tennant's or Matt Smith's or any of the others.
And they point it a lot, which
all it is just a thing that glows. It just shows glare. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like you keep waving those things around. These are scientific instruments.
She's pointing it up, but really, in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't that direction that she needed.
Right.
So
my take on it is, I think that she does it to distract people.
Okay.
To keep them off guard.
Okay.
Like maybe she kind of already knows, and just kind of waves that around to kind of like dangling shiny keys to keep their attention focused on whatever crazy thing she's doing with the flashy light thing.
Close-up magic.
And
is that what she's doing?
Well, basically, like misdirection magic.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, hey, look at this shiny thing over here that I'm doing, while you're not really considering everything else that I'm thinking of right now.
Yeah.
Well, I like that theory, but I like your earlier theory before. And now then, every time she looks at the Sonic, I'm going to see in my mind Iron Man's visor when you show him inside the helmet and all the gauges and everything. That's what she's seeing.
Well,
because he just sends it to her, and it's just she can see that and no one else does.
It might. We don't know.
Yeah. It might.
That's what I'm going with going forward.
It could be the Sonic that feeds that kind of information to her brain.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's entirely. I mean, yeah.
It could have like a sonic screwdriver synesthesia.
Yeah.
Well, we know that the TARDIS has telepathic circuits.
Yep.
So maybe the Sonic is kind of designed because it's both Gallifreyan technology.
Absolutely.
That she's using. That maybe, there's maybe a little bit of telepathy involved with the Sonic.
Right. And maybe she has to concentrate on it for a second.
Yeah.
Oh.
At lunch, I'm going to give both theories to Ken. Thank you.
Okay.
Awesome. And he can just laugh at them.
No, he will love it.
All right. Let's move on.
Pretty and shiny, so there's
exactly. Second topic.
We're only on the second.
I know. Sorry. I'll try and hurry this up because I know we've been running. We had a lot to talk about. We finally got the full TARDIS crew here.
And we do have Ellsworth Part 2.
I know. So all right, I'll try and hurry this up. Second topic: Oathkeeper. And this is Ryan and Graham I want to talk about, because Graham's got a little oath that he made after Grace's death, and he's very intent on keeping it, to the point where he's ready. He's getting up in the Doctor's grill about it. And the Doctor we get a little friction between the Doctor and Graham, but on the flip side of that, as it all turns out, we end up with a major development in the relationship between Ryan and Graham as grandfather and grandson. So I want to get everybody's thoughts on that.
Can
and
I just
Karen,
say one thing?
Well, how about you go first?
Okay, first of all, he's not the only Game of Thrones fan. So I get your theme.
Okay, well,
I will take Game of Thrones titles for 200, Alex.
Yeah.
Well, it was pretty obvious, I thought.
Yes.
A little, yeah. Oathkeeper definitely cemented it.
Because of Mark Addy.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Mhm.
But clever as well. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you didn't have,
But at first, I was going with American Gods. I was thinking American Gods with New and Old Gods.
Oh, so
New and Old Gods.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No,
Or
the first
Kirby.
just. So I was thinking of Jack Kirby too. Yeah.
Oh, well, cool.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's right. All right. So it wasn't as obvious as I thought.
No,
it
but
was.
Oathkeeper gave it away.
Okay. Yeah, Oathkeeper. Yeah. All right.
Okay, so,
All right,
So-
yeah.
Ryan and Graham.
This was amazing. First of all, we need to give a little nod to the fact that there were mirror storylines in this episode. Vengeance.
Yes.
So Tim Shaw had his vengeance storyline and Graham had his vengeance storyline. So I loved seeing them mirror each other and then completely show the character of that character. Tim Shaw, evil.
Right.
You know, his vengeance meant perhaps obliterating worlds upon worlds upon worlds. And Graham, who merely just wanted to take out the guy who killed his wife. I mean, just one person. And he ends up saying, nah, I'm a better man than that.
Right. And do you think it was because of Ryan persuading him?
I think that had a little bit to do with it. I think the Doctor had a little bit to do with it. I think his whole experience after what had happened with his wife from then till now, that has something to do with it. I think it's everything all together. And him pointing that gun at Tim Shaw and thinking, do I really want to do this? I mean, this is a black mark on my soul.
Yeah, that's now you bring it up, Karen. And as a Tom Baker fan, I'm hoping you appreciate this. That essentially is kind of like the Fourth Doctor in Genesis of the Daleks.
Yes.
Where he's got those two wires, and he's like, "Do I have the right? Do I have the right to do this and touch these two wires together and end the Daleks forever?" Right.
And you know, in that case, you know, there was a person inside those Daleks, and he knew that, and so
they are living beings.
Right. And so there was that. You know, yes, they're bad and they come after people and they kill people, but do I have the right to pull the trigger? And I think that does have a lot to do with, you know, what Graham was going through was, you know, first of all, do I have what it takes to kill someone? Because it is a living being that's, even though he's evil
and presumably Graham's never killed before.
I'm assuming. I mean, a bus driver, unless he hits someone and he doesn't know it.
Right. Well, they had it coming. No.
Exactly.
They crossed against the light.
There's that. Then he's thinking about what Ryan said, and he's thinking about what the Doctor said. You know, well, you're not welcome in the TARDIS if you kill him. You know, there's all kinds.
And I also, to step in here, I think he's thinking, what would Grace want him to do as well? Because I believe.
Well, that's one of his arguments. Yeah.
Not only is he traveling to get over missing Grace, but I think he's doing this partly to honor Grace. That how much Grace would have had fun with this and having a blast.
Right. So he has to do this weighing. Yeah.
And I thought the actor, I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Oh, Bradley Walsh.
Yeah, just amazing.
Yeah.
And, you know, such a depth because, you know, I am going to kill him.
Right.
So I have the opportunity to avenge the love of my life. I am going to do it. And then when he has the opportunity to choose the right thing, to be a better person, is huge.
Right.
And just
like he has to forcibly set aside his grief to do the right thing.
I think he actually was just it's easy to say you want to kill someone because they've done something
Absolutely.
bad. But when you're standing there with the gun in your hand, that's a whole different thing.
Right.
And so I think it was just him processing and then seeing the situation right in front of him. And it was that moment that his true character takes over and he knows he can't do it. And I do think it was all those things coming together in that moment. But I also think that it is Graham at his base moment of, I'm a decent human being and I can't do this.
Yeah.
And, they came up with a better way to do it anyway. So I was happy about it.
Go
ahead, Charles.
Well, I had to chime in on Graham because Bradley Walsh has just killed it once again in this episode.
The whole season.
He might be the MVP of the season.
Yeah.
You could make that argument very easily.
Yeah. Everybody figured, well, okay, he's the old guy. He's just going to be struggling to keep up with the others. They're running around, and he's the old guy. But Graham has been the most relatable character on the show.
He could have been the punchline.
Exactly.
Yes. And really, he is the most relevant.
He has had the funny line when needed.
Right.
He has spoken truth when needed.
Right.
Wisdom.
Wisdom and the voice of, like even
the everyman.
Yeah.
Also a solid utility player.
Yeah, but like, why are we going here?
Yes.
Right.
He's the common sense. He's the voice of reason. He's the guy going, wait a minute, let's just all take a step back, and why are we doing this again?
Right.
Like why? Like right
after aid. I mean, wasn't that one of the things?
Yeah, that was the thing at the beginning of the episode is like, well, why are we saving these people? And the doctor has to say, well, look, 9 people. There was like 9 alerts, and nobody responded. So
do you really want to be the 10th? Yeah,
exactly.
And he is trying to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've just loved him. And then when he and Ryan both get Tim Shaw stuck, they're in that prison,
yes.
And they say, we want you to remember one word, and they both say grace at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, you're just perfect.
The myriad reasons for saying grace. I mean, not just grace the person,
right?
But we're giving you grace by keeping you alive. I mean, it's just so many different.
Yeah. Now I found Ryan really interesting this episode as well, because Ryan, obviously, we've talked about this, has had his little friction with Graham. He starts off the season, and that's his character arc, is that he was very resistant to Graham being his replacement granddad.
Right.
Yes.
And when Grace died, he and Graham weren't connecting. You would think that would have been a bonding experience right there, but Ryan held off. He shut himself off from Graham intentionally.
Yes.
Even though Graham reached out to him, and there was over the course of the season where Graham tries to reach out, do the fist bump thing, and then
that was great.
And then here in this episode, Ryan, he's really bothered by that Graham wants to do this vendetta thing against Sim Shah, and he makes a point about it, saying, this isn't what she would want. She would want you to be the better man.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so basically he uses Grace's words, and I think this is probably the thing that tipped Graham over the edge of like, wait a minute here, let me reconsider what I'm doing. And then
I totally agree.
And then what I loved was that Ryan actually recognized that Graham made that choice, and finally rewarded him for it by finally giving him the fist bump and telling him, flat out, I love you, Granddad.
Yeah.
Even though he's like, well, don't make me say it twice. You heard me.
Yeah, we are family.
But he showed that he flat out showed that he cared about Graham now.
Yeah.
And obviously that he's come this long way. And I thought that was a really good character moment and really brought his arc full circle.
Yeah, agreed.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
if I had a complaint,
Yeah.
Yaz has gotten the short stick of this season.
Especially when Chris Chibnall was writing. Have you noticed this?
Yeah. She is
like he doesn't know what to do with her.
Yeah, I don't know. She certainly, when she's had her chance, has stepped up. But if I had any complaints about the season, I feel like I love all four of them in the TARDIS, but there is a little bit of room on how do you get everyone their moments. And it does feel like Graham and Ryan, because of this arc, got a little bit more of the story time, and Yaz was kind of left on the outs.
Yeah, Yaz gets kind of like shunted off to the side to deal with Paltraki.
Right.
Yeah.
Who they do? These two characters, they have a moment where they talk and stuff, but they don't really connect as characters,
Right.
Yeah.
and so it's just almost feels like a throwaway scene with those two.
To be honest, you could probably cut that scene out, and the show would make just as much sense, which
Absolutely.
is not the best argument.
No, because
for a scene.
especially since you have like a major guest star with Mark Addy.
Yep.
Yeah.
You'd think you'd want to utilize him more, but that was kind of like, well, they didn't really do much with that, did they?
He was good, though. I mean,
Yeah, he was very good, and I guess maybe I should be happy because I had assumed Yaz and Ryan would have had a slight romance.
It certainly seemed that way early on, didn't it?
Yeah, but they did not go that way at all. And so
maybe season 2 or
maybe
series 12, really?
Yeah, we'll see. Okay.
Yeah, we'll find out. All right, let's move on. Third topic. What is dead may never die.
well, that would have clinched it.
Yeah, I would think so. That was screaming Game of Thrones. And this is obviously Tim Shaw, and the Sniper Bots, both making their big comeback because, well, hey, everybody, well, except us, thought that Tim Shaw was dead.
And didn't we have a feeling that those Sniper Bots had something to do with him, too?
Well, we knew that the Sniper Bots were weapons used by the Stenza, his race, when we went to, in the second episode, the Ghost Monument.
Yep.
So this first two episodes really kind of come back into play here a bit. Obviously, Sim Shaw is using the Sniper Bots as additional Stenza technology that he's kind of like, he's using his knowledge of the Stenza technology combined with the power of the Ooks. And he's apparently had, as we find out in this episode, 3,407 years to plan for it. So
that last 7 must have been really rough.
Don't you steal my quote, Jesse?
Okay, I'm sorry.
I was refraining.
Yes, but so he's had a lot of time to plan.
Yes,
and then. Maybe it's just me, but I kind of thought that after like 3,400 years, he got defeated rather easily. Am I wrong in that assumption?
No, but that doesn't mean he would have been taken down by someone other than the Doctor, because 3,400 years without being taken down. I mean,
right.
So we do have.
It just took 3,400 years for someone to come along who could actually stop him, is what you're saying.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah.
So we're
That's
seeing
fair.
the end result, but
that's fair. That's fair. But what did you think about bringing this character back, Jesse?
Well, everything dies, baby. That's a fact. But everything dies, maybe comes back. Yeah, I was really happy.
Which Springsteen song is that from?
From Atlantic City. Put your makeup on.
I knew it.
Put your hair up pretty. I'll meet you tonight in Atlantic City. I was very, very happy to see him, and we had also talked about we would see him again before the season.
Right.
And so I'm going to put that on our Toke board as a winning prediction.
We'll mark one up there for us.
Yeah.
There you go. Partners in Time 1. And Chibnall nothing.
It was good to see, when you saw that on video, everyone renexed it. Gosh, let's talk again how Graham looked so good. Like the anger in his face when he recognized who it was.
Right. He was just seething, wasn't he?
Oh, it was.
Oh, man.
kind of a dumb plan. Don't really understand what he was trying to do, but that's okay.
Well, his plan was basically, okay, I'm going to get revenge on all the worlds that gave the Stenza crap.
Right.
And I'm going to
because
down.
So essentially, like, he's like the ultimate internet troll. I'm going.
Yes.
I'm just going attacking everybody
And
attacked me first.
He came across this race that could do this certain thing, and he used that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well,
and
look here.
And then, like, well, hey, the last place the Doctor defeated me, well, that was Earth, so let's take out Earth next.
Mm-hmm.
So what he didn't realize, this brainiac wannabe, that the Doctor is
Wile E. Coyote, super genius.
Super genius.
Well, he instead of shrinking cities in glass bottles, he was shrinking worlds in status chambers.
Karen, where have we heard that before?
Exactly. So instead of brainiac, he's toothiac.
The toothiac.
Toothiac, yeah.
He's got all the teeth on his face.
Teeth. Yep.
Yes.
Gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, he ran out of face. He could have had more teeth, but he ran out of face.
Yeah.
At 3,400
He ran out of real estate.
Exactly.
I mean, he's certainly not the most dangerous villain in the world.
He's not Davros of the Master. No.
Yeah.
He's a hunter.
I mean,
he's
deadly
sleeper in the
As
world.
we say in Warcraft, huntard.
Yeah.
It's only his second episode,
Yeah, so it was good to see him, and I like that they didn't kill him off.
So the ending. Now that you bring it up, last we see him, he's imprisoned in that suspended animation chamber or whatever, left there by Graham to ponder the name Grace for eternity. But you see his hand kind of move.
Yep, like it's gonna come through.
Dun, dun, dun. I kept waiting for the end ... question mark, or is it?
Right.
Well, I was also thinking of the Fortress of Solitude, flying up into space, like
yeah. The Phantom Zone, yeah.
Yeah, so good. Yeah, the Phantom Zone, exactly. So I was really happy with it.
But you think he's going to be coming back, so yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me say this. How did they defeat him in the first episode? They used his technology against him.
Right.
And how did they defeat him in this episode?
He used his technology against him.
He should know by now, really, right?
He had 3,400 years to think about this.
Exactly.
Maybe I shouldn't have technology that you can turn against me.
Absolutely.
But again, I think he was banking on the Ux to be so powerful that, like, you couldn't, like, come at me, bro, because there's no way you're gonna stop me.
Well,
but
especially
guess what?
when they deal in the same currency as the Doctor with the time and space thing, and having powers and all that. Maybe he was lulled into this false sense of complacency. But what he doesn't bargain with is that the Doctor has this intelligence that he simply cannot challenge.
No, he can't.
No, I think it's just his arrogance, and more than anything, because that like, look, okay, you may have got me the first time, but I've got the power. I have the power.
Well, and I think Karen talked about it earlier. All the Doctor had to do was just talk a little bit to the, to the Utz and saying, this is your God. This is what you this is what you think someone would be. And, once again, intellect and compassion is going to beat, evil and short-sightedness.
Where's your savior now? Where's your savior now, Moses? It's right out of 10 Commandments. No.
Absolutely.
Someone said Utz. I want potato chips.
Yes. I have missed talking to you, both of you, at the same time so much. I really have.
I missed you.
My face is hurting from grinning so much. I love that.
I miss both of you.
All right. Anything else about this episode before we move on?
Nope. I loved it.
The only other thing I have really quick is a quick trivia bit. Now, in the course of this episode, the Doctor mentions that the TARDIS regressed a Slitheen back into an egg. which of course took place during the Christopher Eccleston era episode Boomtown, and talked about towing the Earth halfway across the universe, which of course we all know is from Journey's End, one of easily David Tennant's top 5 stories. Easily. All right. But I thought that was rather cool and great to see connections to the other seasons.
Absolutely.
All right. Favorite lines. Karen, you got any favorite lines?
Sure, plenty.
All right.
Hey,
Why don't you give us one, and then we'll go to Jesse.
Okay, Ryan says, "Hey, you shot him," and Graham says, "Yeah, but just the foot, just in the foot, just to shut him up. Don't tell the doc; she'll be livid."
I loved that scene. Like
he
went from wanting to kill him to, okay, don't tell the dog. Don't tell the dog.
He's so afraid.
I only shot his foot.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to shut him up.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't try to kill him, honest. But Jesse, got any others?
No, I've got the one that I'm saving. So
okay,
go.
you're good. That's it.
I have the toes that I have, and that's a Ron Swanson quote. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. I have the doctor talking with Paltraki, where she's pulling out all these grenades because apparently she's a little flexible on the weaponry as long as she feels that, well, okay, if it's something you can rebuild, I'm okay with it. I'll let it slide. Yeah. But the doctor says, okay.
Did you have that whole quote?
No. But
okay, because that I meant to write that down because that whole quote about the rules and I'm flexible, that was a great quote.
You got
it?
Hear
please.
Yeah, if you got it, go ahead.
So Ryan says, "What happened to never do weapons?" And the doctor says, "It's a flexible creed. Doors, locks, walls, buildings, fair game. If it can be rebuilt, I'll allow it."
Well, the quote I was going to use, and that's a good one, though, was with Paltraki. She's pulling out the grenades, and she's like, "Grenades, an insurance policy." Paltraki's like, "You think that's smart?" Doctor says, "I think it's a precaution. I like precautions. Always take precautions, especially when you don't know what you're doing."
Yes.
Such a doctor quote.
Yeah,
it is such a doctor quote.
This is probably why I was drawn to it.
I did think, though,
I love those.
Of the Serenity line from Jane going, "Wouldn't it be nice if we had some grenades?"
Of course.
Yep.
He always wants grenades.
All right, Karen, you got another quote?
Sure. Andinio says, "I don't have to answer all these questions." And the doctor says, "That's what my teachers used to say, usually just as they quit teaching."
Great.
I love that.
There was a lot of good lines in this one. The one we've kind of referred to a little bit earlier, where the doctor's kind of confronting Sim Shah and asks, How long has it been?" Sim Shah replies, 3,407 years. The doctor replies, "I bet this last 7 really dragged."
I love that.
I love that one too.
The shade in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is like shade times 1,000.
Pretty much. And she's old enough that she can, carry off that remark, I think. Like, I bet the 7 really dragged. Yeah.
I have
all right.
this where the doctor's talking with herself out loud, and she says, "A line to Stenza power, enough for a short-range dog whistle. Might work. Please work. Universe provide. Bleh. Universe,
easy for you to say.
Universe provide for me. I'm working really hard to keep you together right now."
Yes.
Yeah. One of the big moments between Ryan and Graham, where Ryan says, "You think that's what Nan would want?" And Graham replies, "No, I think your Nan would want to be alive. She actually liked being alive, and she was really good at it. And she'd say to me, 'Graham, if you get the chance, you send that little piece of rubbish to Kingdom Come. Because you know why? Your Nan might have been kind, but she was also tougher than you and me put together.'"
Yeah, I love
that. Was a good one. Yeah.
Okay, I have... let me give you 2 really short ones. The doctor says at one point, "Graham O'Brien, you're the strongest person I know. Well, one of the few." So I love how she undercuts all of her...
Yes. The build up and then undercuts her own statement.
I can't let you live that. And then she also says, Tim Shaw might have a shrine, but I've got a ghost monument.
That's
what you were looking
I love
for?
that. Yes,
That's a good one.
I love that line.
All
And
right.
she
Well, why don't
says
we?
Tim Shaw, not Tim Shaw.
Yeah, because obviously she knows it drives him nuts that she's not getting his name right. All right. Let's end on a good note. Ratings. What's everybody's ratings? Jesse, you got a rating?
I do. I give this 10 out of 10. It's about time fist bumps.
Whoa, very strong. You really like this episode.
I'm doing with my heart. You know, it touched
all the right buttons.
It did.
All right, Karen, how about you? What's your rating?
I give it 8.5. Hold on. Not pennies, TARDISes.
Okay.
The hand against the thing.
Oh,
yes.
Yes,
Not Penny's boat. Get it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Karen, you and I are in sync.
Oh.
After all this time off, we're sharing the same brain, just like the simpatico. I give it 8.5 insurance grenades.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Yeah,
I is right out.
Yes,
yeah.
5 is right on.
Yeah, I'm the biased U.S. judge.
That's all right.
I'm doing this out of just
We're
blind
okay
love.
with it.
That's it.
Yes.
It's okay. You're entitled, and hey, it's your opinion. That's what matters.
Yes.
You don't have to be simpatico with us.
Exactly.
We just like it when it happens.
Yeah. We just outnumber you. That's all. No, I'm just kidding.
What?
Yes.
I didn't say that.
No, you were thinking it.
What?
Because we share the same brain.
What? I don't know what you are talking about, sir.
All right. Let's do a really quick reverse the polarity, and then we'll move on because we've got lots of emails. So real quick, reverse the polarity. Karen might know where I'm going with this one because we're going to go back to 1978 with The Pirate Planet, which is actually a story Jesse and I we've talked about because when we were reviewing the Key to Time season, this is the second serial from season 16 in 1978, written by my favorite author, Douglas Adams. And this is, again, during the Key to Time season where they spend each story looking for segments of the Key to Time, the Fourth Doctor, and the first Romana, Mary Tam. This time they go to the cold and boring planet of Calufrax, where they find that there's a strange civilization that lives in perpetual prosperity because everywhere you go, like in the streets, there's like jewels and whatnot just lying around in the street. Nobody seems to care because, hey, they've got all this money. And the Doctor encounters the strange band of people called the Mentiads who are feared by society, but the Doctor discovers, hey, they're good people. And the bad guy, or at least who the Doctor thinks is the bad guy, is this guy named the Captain, the planet's leader and benefactor. And after meeting the Captain on the bridge, he learns that they're actually on a hollowed-out planet named Zanuck, which has been materializing around other planets to plunder their resources, leaving them as shrunken husks held by gravitational forces in a trophy room. So very similar to this story where we have planets that are essentially turned into like these little crystal things.
Okay, good.
And it's a Dyson sphere.
Yeah, pretty much. Exactly. It is a Dyson sphere. And which was before the term even became really popular in science fiction. Yep. So credit to Douglas Adams for using that. But ultimately the Fourth Doctor, Romana, and the Mentiads kind of team up, and they confront the Captain, and the Captain, of course, is trying to materialize Zanuck around Earth after mining is finished. So again, we have like, well, okay, we're going to put the big threat on Earth, just like here in this story. So ultimately, they destroy the bridge, and the evil Queen Xanxia, who's the real true evil behind this story, and the devastation caused by the pirate planet. So,
all right.
So yeah, very cool story, and then, again, it's Douglas Adams, so you know, the dialogue just sings.
It was a great story.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
And the costumes were actually pretty good too. They were kind of medievally looking.
Exactly. So, no. By the way, I have a special guest here for everybody. Say hi, Keiko.
Hey.
Keiko, say hi to everybody.
Blink,
yep.
blink.
She's a little shy, but my kitty Keiko is sitting here.
Nice.
So just thought I'd do that because she just happened to be here hanging out.
Good deal.
All right. Listener feedback. So we've got a lot.
All right. I have Holly, Wisconsin.
Right. You've got Holly from Wisconsin.
Yep.
Now,
Want me to read it?
Well, hold on. I think we should read first, though.
Okay.
We got a really great Facebook post that I want to talk about, and I want to give some special Next Stop Everywhere appreciation for this.
Okay.
I'm sure you'll join me on this. To Joe Wendy Karelja, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who posted on December 6th. She posted, "I love me some Doctor Who, heart. During our long droughts of waiting for new material, I enjoy filling the void by listening to Doctor Who-related podcasts and fan videos. And during the season, I like to hear reviews and discussions about the show. Like many of my fellow fans, I've been disheartened by the endless nastiness and negativity by being spewed by so many, quote, people, unquote." Frowny face. "I gave up some of my regular shows and hosts and deleted them from my library and my life. During the run-up to Series 11 this summer, I started searching for new podcasts. Some happy, positive ones. And yes, I found Next Stop Everywhere.
Yay!
And so I just want to say that I love your show. It is a beacon of light and joy in the Doctor Who universe. So thank you for saying that. That's just awesome. And so yes, Next Stop Everywhere, your beacon of light and joy in the universe.
That should be our tagline.
Yes, it is.
It should. I think it should. It certainly is, as far as I'm concerned. So Joe adds, by the way, Joe, great name. If you're a John Pertwee fan, you know that Joe is a great Doctor Who name. Joe Grant.
Yes.
Joe adds, "Thank you for your great work. Your contagious positivity, graciousness, and kindness is appreciated." That
nice.
Is awesome. Joe, thank you.
Thank you so much, Joe.
That is one of the best I think feedbacks we've gotten, and it means a lot that you're actually appreciating our positivity, because we're trying to keep things positive. We know, especially this season, it's been frustrating. There's been a lot of really unfair treatment of Jodie Whittaker and the other cast members and in the show. It's almost like these people don't want to be Doctor Who fans.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Charles, you and I talked about it last week, and I know if Karen had been with us, she would have agreed that, we were talking about putting the positivity out, because I feel like the majority of fans are very happy with what we're getting. Mm-hmm. It's just the vocal minority are just really complaining. And so I love the idea that we had said that we want to put positivity out, and to get exactly such great feedback the very next week is just so lovely. And thank you so much, Joe.
Yeah. Because we talked about that, we don't sugarcoat things. If there's something that's criticized, we're going to point it out. But it just seems like, the haters are the ones that get faster onto the internet to complain about stuff. And so they're the most vocal. And that's why, again, I hope that, if you're feeling positive, if you're enjoying this series, I hope you're vocal about it, because I think a lot of people could really appreciate that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And as evidenced by Joe's feedback here, that there's people out there that want to be positive.
Absolutely.
And thank you for giving us a try. And we'll continue to hope to live up to that.
And Joe,
absolutely,
we appreciate your positivity, Joe.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. This comment made me feel so good because it was so positive.
Absolutely.
It was exactly what I needed at that moment in time when I first read this, and I'm just like, I have to share this with everybody.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you did. By the way, did you see? Shout out to Ken from Chicago.
Yeah.
We had a nice discussion. I saw you guys on Twitter. We had talked about it the last time about his comments, and you guys had a good discussion, but he did say, you were right, Jesse. I wasn't criticizing. I was commenting about his talk about another villain that wasn't a villain. So I appreciate Ken being so positive too and engaging with us.
Yeah, we always
that's
appreciate
really
that.
nice. Yeah.
All right, Jesse, do you want to read Holly's?
I will.
Okay.
Hey all, what a season finale we got. What a season finale. And we got a callback to the very first episode of the season with Tim Shaw. Leave it to him to take advantage of a situation and try to get payback. Love Graham's little nod to Die Hard.
That was
we
fun.
did not mention that, but K-I-O.
Yippee-ki-yay. No, I thought he should have said yippee-ki-yay, mother robots.
Yes.
Yes, he should have.
That's the way I would have written it.
Yes, was also chuckling when Graham was telling Ryan not to tell the doctor he shot Tim Shaw in the foot. Also loved the fist bump Ryan and Graham shared. I don't think she, as in the doctor, is going to mind all that much. Here's hoping that Tim Shaw won't break out of the status station anytime soon. The doctor calling Ryan, Graham, and Yaz her fan at the end had me grinning from ear to ear. The previews for the New Year's Day episode looks really good. I'm a little bummed we won't be getting new episodes until 2020, but we've gone a year before and we can do it again. I'll wrap it up here. Holly from Wisconsin.
Indeed, Holly.
We
can do. We're pros at these hiatuses by now.
Yes.
Unfortunately, but we obviously can get through them. So, and it's like I pointed out on I think it was Facebook or something that hey, we only have 55 years of Doctor Who to talk about. I'm sure we'll find something.
There's plenty of material to talk about.
Exactly. So, Karen, do you have any of the email you want to read? Nope. Okay. All right. I wasn't sure if you had it.
No, I don't.
Because I thought I gave you access.
I think you did too, but I didn't.
Okay. All right. It's okay. No problem. So let's go. No. You've been busy. That's cool. You get a pass. No problem. All right. So let's go back a little bit because Fred Firestein, a.k.a. Fred Firestein.
Hey, Fred.
Hey, Fred. Obviously, you know him from the TV Rewind podcast and stuff.
The TV Rewinds.
The TV Rewinds. He writes in about It Takes You Away, so he's kind of catching up here. He says, hello, Jesse, Charles, Jesse, and hopefully Karen.
Hi.
Yep. So Karen, yay, finally got back to the.
I'm here.
Yep. Just showed up just in the nick of time for Fred's email.
Yay.
Fred says, thanks, Charles and Jesse, for your rant against the haters of this season. You're very welcome, Fred.
Mm-hmm.
Glad we will rant whenever it is necessary.
Agreed.
You know, sometimes there's great evil. As Patrick Troughton's second Doctor said, there's great evil in the universe. It must be fought.
Yeah.
So that's my little quote for that. Fred goes, I treat Doctor Who like a member of the family. You love them, you get angry at them, you roll your eyes sometimes, but you are loyal to them. On my Doctor Who themed bulletin board, I still have a version of the, quote, 13th Doctor casting comments bingo, unquote, for my amusement. Just relax and enjoy the show. Well, hey, that's what MST3K said, you know, just sit back and just relax. Regarding this episode, I was with them until they introduced the Solitract. Yes, they were taking a big swing at creating a universe-sized creature. Unfortunately, it was a quick introduction with lots of hand-waving. Shout out to Karen. But today I realized there was a lot like the ending of 2001: A Space Odyssey, which was also weird but very memorable. So we'll give them credit for originality. I've enjoyed every episode this season on its own merits with my own critiques, but still happy to have new episodes. Let's rewatch and reflect as we wait for the New Year's episode and beyond to the next season. All right. Thank you very much for writing in, Fred.
Thank you, Fred.
It's always great to hear from you, and thanks for the compliment on our rants.
Fred.
Because yeah.
I am sensing a theme.
Yes.
That people are happy that we're not like throwing crap back at Doctor Who.
I believe so.
It's wacky, isn't it? It's that people are responding positively to positivity.
Absolutely.
How in the world? What you put out in the world, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. So, just saying, maybe people want to be positive here. Just they're looking for it. All right. Lastly, of course, we have Paul Beck from Australia. So Paul writes in, "Hi, Charles, Jesse, and Karen. So see, people don't forget you.
That's right.
They love you. They love you. All right. Really enjoyed this episode or the series finale, and Chibnall did manage to join some of the season's plot points together, which I was hoping to get. I'm feeling very content with this season's effort. After listening to your last podcast, I took to the internet and was shocked at all the negative responses to this season." Yeah, that's, if you're not familiar with it, that had to become quite a shock because it was pretty brutal out there. It just feels like fandom in general is just ripping into itself. Such negativity for not just Doctor Who, but Star Wars, Star Trek, and many other shows. Yeah, Notice that? Like, okay, we're going to go after Daisy Ridley's, Ren, and we're going to go after Sonequa Martin Green's Michael Burnham on Star Trek Discovery.
Are you sensing a theme there, though?
Jodie Whittaker on Doctor Who.
Those are
Now those aren't all female characters. Yeah. That's interesting, huh? Noticing a little bit of a trend, exactly. So, I'm glad we're not the only ones that obviously picked up on that. What the hell is going on? He goes on to say, having lived through the era after the Sylvester McCoy, I'd rather have some Who than no Who.
There you go.
Testify, my brother. Anyway, back to this episode. I really love Graham's journey. He is really the better man, and he finally got his fist pump from Ryan. Very awkward, but fun. Very funny. I really enjoyed the fam this year, and Yep.
Shudder, fam. Yuck.
Yeah, I'm not really sold on the fam thing, but teach their own. I'm okay with that. I think those characters are great, and I want to see what happens to them next. And I still think Jodie as the Doctor killed it. She hit the ground running and didn't stop. Loved her.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Can't wait to hear your thoughts. Your reviews have added to our experience of the show, and for that, I thank you for your hard work and effort. It is much appreciated. Smiley face.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Paul. As always, sending you my kindest regards from the other side of the world, Paul. P.S. am looking forward to the New Year's episode, but am very curious where you are taking us in time and space next podcast. ...
Paul needs to send us some audio.
Yes, he does. That would be
because
love to hear his. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Australian accent would definitely.
Hello.
Yeah. Are we going to get the cougar sound effect?
Oh man. Yeah, I
can put you on the spot, didn't I? Oh, that's okay. It's okay if I did. There we go.
Okay.
All right.
Love me some accent.
Yep. So next time on Next Up Everywhere, we obviously have a little bit of a gap between now and the New Year's Day special. So I know some people were upset about not having a Christmas special this year. So I thought, well, hey, why don't we help fill the gap with a Christmas special?
Let's do
it. Yay!
That all of you guys have to watch this.
Yeah, exactly.
So you'll have a Christmas special to watch.
Exactly.
And
so
this
will give everybody a good excuse to, hey, watch Doctor Who on Christmas, and what better thing is that, right?
So we're going to discuss Bruce Springsteen on Broadway that is going to premiere on Netflix on 12/19.
Net what?
Netflix.
Yeah,
there you go.
We're gonna have. We're gonna. Is that what we're gonna do, Charles?
No, I don't think that's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
If
is that a Doctor Who Christmas?
Oh, it is the best Doctor Who Christmas ever.
Oh, Karen's gonna cue it up.
No,
I can feel.
Well,
no.
I can do it.
That's all right. I built it up too much. That's all right. Oh, there it is. Yeah. All right. So no, we're going to talk. So no, we're going to talk about A Christmas Carol.
Yay.
A Christmas Carol. A Christmas
What is
Carol.
it you say?
A Christmas Carol. The 2010 Christmas special that, of course, aired during Matt Smith's first season of Doctor Who, and my personal favorite Christmas episode. I just love this episode, so spoilers, I'm going to give it a big review, a really good review.
Yeah.
Everything's great in this. You've got just Amy and Rory. You've got Catherine Jenkins singing. You've got Michael Gambon playing a very Scrooge-like character, and lots of great timey-wimey stuff, and a very clever script by Stephen Moffat.
Yeah.
It's just terrific. So it's pretty much the everything you could hope for a Doctor Who Christmas special.
I agree.
And I can't believe we haven't talked about it before, but that's okay because it gives us something great to talk about here in just 1 week, right before we go take a little week and a half off as we wait for the New Year's special Resolution, which is coming up down the road, which I don't think is the full title. I think the full title is Resolution of the Daleks.
Spoilers.
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm just joking at you, Charles.
But talking about the DNA belonging to the most evil being in the universe.
It does sound suspicious.
And, Resolution does kind of harken back to like the old classic Dalek story titles, like, Remembrance of the Daleks or Resurrection of the Daleks, Revelation of the Daleks. So maybe continuing that R theme with Resolution of the Daleks, perhaps.
We'll see.
We will see. But that's down the road. Next time, of course, the Christmas Carol. So I can't wait to talk about that.
Nice.
All right. So I know we've been long, but we had a lot to talk about. And hey, Karen's back. So
absolutely.
Hope you indulge us. It's a series 11 finale. So if nothing else. Otherwise, if you want to reach us like everybody else, like Fred or Holly or Paul, you can please reach us at Next Stop Everywhere SMG. Don't forget the SMG at gmail.com. At the Gmail. Or you can reach us on Twitter at Next Stop SMG on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you there. Please follow us there while you're there. And or if you want to be like Wendy, and, hey, drop us a line on Facebook because obviously that reaches us as well. Reach us at Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast on the Facebook. That all the crazy kids are on the Facebook.
On the Facebooks.
Yep.
They can also go to iTunes to rate and review us. We would love some more ratings and reviews on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast from.
Yep. And, of course, don't forget Next Stop Everywhere podcast on Instagram.
That's right.
But hopefully we'll get some little special content back on that.
I hope so.
That would be great. But otherwise you can reach us there. That would be great. And otherwise, Karen, where can they reach you on the interwebs?
I am at Aleveria, Aleveria, on the Twitter machine.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a link in my bio that will take you to my blog, at which you can find all my other links. And new podchaser.com.
Oh, that's right. Because everybody's on the Podchaser, aren't they?
Go to podchaser.com and type my name in there, and you can find me, and you can look at all the things I've done, which is a lot.
Yeah. Did you realize that when you set up your profile?
Oh, yeah. I'm not even done yet putting everything in.
Because you got so much.
Yeah.
How about you, Jesse?
I am also on Podchaser. Please check it out.
Yep.
That's a brand new toy for us. What it is kind of an IMDb for podcasting.
Right.
So we all just got our profiles on it. So it looks pretty good. I am on Twitter at Jesse Jackson DFW. Charles, we can reach you at
Charles Skaggs on the Twitter machine, at Charles Skaggs on the Instagram. Facebook, of course, Charles Skaggs in Hilliard, Ohio, where all the crazy kids are hanging.
Yeah,
all the crazy kids all you crazy kids on the Facebook.
Doesn't sound as good.
Yep, and my blog of geeky things.
Damn good coffee and hot.
Damn Good Coffee and Hot, where I talk about all the things that we talk about here on Next Stop Everywhere, Doctor Who, Torchwood, the Sarah Jane Adventures, and more. We'll also talk about the other podcasts that I do for Southgate Media, including the Phantom Zone podcast that I do with Karen, coming back soon, hopefully. Titan Talk, the Titans podcast that I do with you, Jesse, where we talk about the DC Universe series Titans, which has been rather fun to talk about, and lots of good reaction to that. And Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks podcast I do with Zan Sprouse, wife of comic artist Chris Sprouse, where we talk about all things Twin Peaks, David Lynch, etc., etc. So, Jesse, if you want to lead us out with a quote so you can end the show, why don't you go ahead and do that?
I will. I will say very quickly, I love talking to both of you.
I know.
Even if all three of us are a little too hot-winded sometimes. But I love you guys, and it is so good to have you back, Karen. And I know, Charles, it is not the same talking this season without you, and so we're glad you're back. And as always, Charles, you are my favorite companion in the TARDIS, so thank you. We will end with...
Even though I'm long-winded.
Yeah, it's part of your charm. None of us know for sure.
Hey, at least I got charm, right?
Well, and if I really was upset, I wouldn't say it out loud.
Right.
We will end with...
Yes.
None of us know for sure what's out there. That's why we keep looking. Keep your faith. Travel hopefully. The universe will surprise you constantly.
Very good words from the 13th Doctor, and very good words from you, Jesse. Okay. So everybody, come on back. We're going to talk A Christmas Carol here in our next episode, right before the New Year's finale. So thanks, everybody. And we'll see you next.
Yeah, you do have homework.
That's true. Everybody,
watch it.
Watch that episode. Come on back, y'all. Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast. We'll see you next time.
Charles, as we get over an hour and a half, we can reach you at...
Oh, we'll be fine. We were talking for a bit.
It's a finale.
My butt is tired being on this chair.
Grumpy old man is grumpy.
Yes.
All right, I'll hurry up. Okay. He just can't handle... Yeah, he just can't handle this video. These old people.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Of course.
I'm just saying an hour and a half for a 45-minute episode may be just a little excessive.
Nope. None. Karen and I could go 3 hours easy.
Sure, we could go another hour easy.
What do you hang up and you guys can finish for me?
Stop your crying.
Charles.
All right. I'm trying to finish this if Jesse would let me.
Poke.
Yeah, exactly. So